All right, guys, go and then take any questions you have. Just kind of grinding through the days of camp here. Feels a little bit like Groundhog Day as you kind of do the same schedule each day, but it's been good work each and every snap that we get. Looking forward to the game on Saturday. Great opportunity to continue to build. And we'll just keep going through the paces, trying to keep guys healthy and get younger players the experience they'll need to be ready to go for the regular season, and just kind of enjoying the grind of the daily work. So can answer any questions you may have.
Kirk, that fire hose analogy is often, drinking through a fire hose is often used in the NFL. For Kellen, have you seen it trickle to a stream, or I don't know any other metaphors I can fit in here?
Yeah.
Like that, him picking up more of the playbook now that he's actually practiced a little bit more?
He's got a good command of the playbook, so I think he's handling that well. I think it's just being able to match up your body with what you know of the playbook and make it to where it's the muscle memory is instinctual. But he does have a good command of the playbook, and has done a good job with the studying part.
Can you think back to like your rookie season and maybe the preseason games you got in, of just like, I don't know if it was overwhelming or just how much was being thrown at you, but how you get more comfortable moving at the tempo and operating faster?
Yeah, it's just a long process, of every day stacking it up, and you look back after a few years and you feel like, man, I'm, a more experienced player than I was before. I'm more comfortable than I was before. There is no minute that it suddenly flips, but you just keep stacking up the days, and you have it's kind of a roller coaster. You have your good days where you realize you've taken some steps and you take a step back, but you just kind of keep pushing and keep trying to climb in this league. But it does take time, and I've watched, even guys who come out and have great early starts. You still have to kind of work at, okay, how do I sustain that? How do I keep that going week in, week out, and year after year?
Have you got any feel for how much you might play on Saturday?
Haven't discussed it. It's usually something we're told day before at the earliest, maybe day of. So I've learned through my years to just plan on playing, a good amount and do your homework and be ready to go. And whether you play, a few series, the whole half into the third quarter, you want to be ready to go and have put a good product on the field, whatever the number of snaps are.
On the balance, some teams, Aaron Rodgers isn't playing in the preseason. How does the team balance whether to maybe not use an established quarterback, and then if they do use him, how much to use him?
It's everybody's different, and I think the reps are always valuable. You always get better from playing. So as long as you can, protect yourself and be ready for week one, I think it's always helpful to get out there and get that experience. But everybody's going to handle it different, and those decisions are really beyond me. And my job is to just be ready to play.
You find historically maybe you've been sharper at the start of a regular season when you have more reps in the preseason?
I don't think there's been a correlation that I could speak to. Can't say there has been one.
Kirk, Amir Smith-Marsette seems like a pretty confident kid for a rookie. What has been your impression of him?
I could talk about Amir for a little while. He's first of all a lot of fun. So he's great for a locker room because he kind of makes, like I said, Groundhog Day, the dog days of camp. You got a personality like Amir, it helps the team have fun. I remember at rookie minicamp he got the music, and so he was controlling the music in the locker room. Well, when all the vets came back after rookie minicamp, he still had the music, and we all kind of looked at him like, all right, whatever, you can have the music, because he's doing a pretty good job as the DJ. So I think some days he does, some days he doesn't. I think Chris Boyd and some other guys get in on the DJ work too, but he does a good job with that, so that kind of gives you a look into his personality. A lot of fun, and he's a playmaker, which is, you're always looking for playmakers. I just told him the other day, there's parts of his game that we can improve, he can improve. And he knows that, and he's going to work at that. But he can run a post. He can make things happen. He can make big plays, and I think he's going to do that in preseason games and practice. You will see and have seen that he's a guy who can bring some juice.
Kirk, your efforts to get better playing off schedule, as you mentioned before, how's that going, and how do you work on that in practice?
It's going to always be a work in progress. The last play I had in practice yesterday was an example of not doing it well enough. I don't know if you remember, I think many of you were sitting up there, I threw the ball away kind of in your direction. Should have taken off and run. there's really no need to practice throwing the ball away in that moment. I probably might have been sacked, but just practice taking off and running and get those reps in of feeling that and getting that instinct. So, that was a time where I walk off the field and I think to myself, doggone it, that was another missed opportunity to get better. But there's other times where I remember against the Broncos, I think maybe the very first or second snap we had against them, the routes were kind of not clear, and I just took off and ran. And we said, okay, that's a good decision in the moment. So you kind of take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but you're always trying to get better. I'll always be trying to get better in that area.
Is that something that's hard for you to take more analytical as a quarterback?
I don't want to be analytical. I think it's you don't want to turn down someone who's open, and I think that's the battle I've always found is let's also keep the main thing the main thing. Don't forget what got you here. What got you here is going through your reads, being a great decision maker, throwing with accuracy, having precision, being able to go through a progression. So if you just say I'm going to change that and take off and run, you kind of lose what got you there. So it's more of a, can I find that perfect balance? And the nature of finding a perfect balance is you're always going to feel like you're a little bit too much this way or a little bit too much that way. But if you always are working on it, I'd like to think you're going to stay pretty close to being in the right place.
Speaking of scrambling running, have you had any conversation with Fran Tarkinen since the end of last season?
I haven't talked to Fran since last season, but he always encourages me whenever I see him to be more of a runner, and I agree with him. I say, you're absolutely right. I really do need to do more of it.
There's no box score or win-loss record attached to a training camp, so how do you go about evaluating where you're making progress or what areas you're making progress?
I think the focus as I play longer is to really help young players, teammates. How comfortable am I with younger players? Are they caught up to speed? Are they ready to go? Not that, by no means do I say that I've arrived. It's just that, if you're focused on yourself, like you said, it is a little hard to evaluate, and it can feel like Groundhog Day, but there will always be that challenge of, this is a team game anyways, so take the focus off yourself and really spend it practice trying to make sure us as a unit, as 11 players on the offense at any time are going to play at a really high level. And because you're always bringing in new players and young players, that challenge will always be there. So the evaluation part, it comes down really to play in and play out, because like you said, it's harder to put a string of plays together and evaluate a bigger picture. So it's more, did you win or lose that play? Which can be a little bit different than how a game really works. A game is more of when you put the picture together, but you can grade every play, decision making, the footwork, the feel, the ability to, make something happen when the play wasn't there. So you just try to grade those plays, every single time.
You mentioned the pass rush being one of the harder things to gauge out here.
Yeah, very, yeah.
So how's that gone? Just kind of getting a sense for what your offensive line's going to be this year.
Yeah, you just don't want to develop a false sense of security because of your red jersey, and that'll always be the challenge. Is you don't want to get into the real thing and feel like it's moving faster than practice, and so you try to have that clock that says, hey, I can't sit around much longer, and I got to take off or I got to throw it away, and so you try to play with that. Quickness, even if you have a red jersey. And so there's a couple times yesterday where, if you sense rush to be ready to move or throw it away, just so you're training the right habits.
How you feeling about Rashad Hill? What's your level of trust with him?
I mean, he's played a lot of football with me, and he's done a great job. So I love knowing that he's been in the fire for a long time, and did a great job for us late last year when we lost Riley. And I expect him as an experienced veteran to be able to step in and do a great job.
Is the importance of left tackle the same as what it used to be, or is it now kind of more even now with the right tackle? Because it seems the guys
Yeah. It's a good question. I haven't studied it enough to say. I do think, there's still going to always be something to the quote-unquote blind side of your backs turned at some points. Obviously if I'm looking left at my read, there isn't as much of a blind side. So it comes down a little bit to which side you're actually looking as you drop back. But, I think it does kind of come down to players learn a position sort of like being right and left-handed, and it's tough to ask a guy to suddenly switch hands. We've asked Ezra to do that, but you don't want to do that if you don't have to. So that's part of it too, is just understand that, hey, if a guy gets comfortable at a position, let's try to keep him there as best we can.
Kirk, in addition to Fran, are there any other retired quarterbacks that you speak to get pointers, advice, anyone on this?
Nothing off the top of my head. I'm sure there are conversations. Just talked to Rich Gannon the other day, who was here at practice, and you just find yourself knowing that they've walked where I've been, and they've walked to places I haven't been in terms of even more success that I'm trying to chase. And so just trying to, pick their brains, I think, will always be a part of the conversation.
Talking to Fran, does he get back to you? Does he give you feedback like, oh, you did well in that game, or is it just kind of like, he talks to you and then you're in?
Yeah, it's I may hear from him now and then, but it's not like it's an ongoing discussion on a weekly basis.
With Conklin, what's impressed you about some of those young tight ends? We know you love Brandon Dillon.
Yeah.
Getting to see Zach Davidson out
Yeah.
there. What does he add to this offense, and
Yep.
those two specifically?
Yeah, it's a great example. We're talking about young players and trying to bring them along to get comfortable. I think Zach and Shane are a great example of that. That hey, if this happens in the season and we need Zach and Shane to be there, you want to know that you did a great job in August of building that foundation with them so that you're ready to go. And it's also, I think, very valuable for them to now get a little bit more meaningful reps than they would have been getting if Tyler was fully healthy. So, yeah, I'm excited about both those guys, a lot of athleticism, and now it's just a matter of, like everybody else, getting that experience where you can really be comfortable out there.